A strange sight in the sky last night over Oahu caught the attention of many people.
And it's not just fireworks lighting up the sky in West Oahu. Perplexed residents on the Leeward Coast are searching for answers.
As the clock counts down the last hours of 2020 here, some countries have already ushered in the new year.
New at 10, a mystery in Mesa. At least one neighborhood worried the loud bangs they've been hearing for weeks. Maybe more than just fireworks and celebration.
Elk Grove police say it's just one example of loud booms people have been reporting for weeks.
A lot of us are going to be extremely happy to say goodbye to the year that was 2020. That includes these guys. Take a look at this. US robot developers Boston Dynamics posted this new video online demonstrating its Atlas, Spot, and Handle robots dancing in sync to the song Do You Love Me by the Contours. The coordinated, wired prototypes dance floor display came with a New Year message. Our whole crew got together to celebrate the start of what we hope will be a happier year.
Something is in the sky. What is that?
Perplexed residents on the Leeward Coast searching for answers after a lit up unidentified flying object reportedly plunged into the ocean near Ulehala Beach Park. There are multiple videos of what appears to be a glowing oblong mass, both in the sky and then in the water.
Definitely really unusual to see. They were super bright. I guess I couldn't really get the full gist of it with my camera since it was so far away, but it was really, really bright.
Officials from the Federal Aviation Administration say there were no aircraft incidents or accidents in this area Tuesday night, but multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky and into. Say there were no aircraft incidents or accidents in this area Tuesday night, but multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky. But multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean. The 38-year-old says she's never really been a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object had them so intrigued, they jumped in the car and started following it.
I don't know what it was. This one was so fast.
The journey ended less than 3 miles from where it began, on Farrington Highway in front of the Board of Water Supply building, after the object appeared to drop into the ocean.
Going around in the water, whatever it is.
She described it as being larger than a telephone pole and says she never heard it make any sound. While officers were on scene, she says they spotted a second light.
My husband looked up and he seen the white one come. The white one was smaller, was coming in the direction of the car.
They lost sight of the object after it passed over a nearby mountain. This morning, we asked Honolulu police if investigators figured out what fell in the water. A spokesperson told us they didn't have any information. Meanwhile, officials from the FAA said they received a report from police Tuesday night about a possible plane down in the area, but had no aircraft disappear off radars and no reports of overdue or missing aircraft. Although Mariah's had a couple days to think about it, she says she's still baffled by what she saw.
I'm not an expert on these things, but it sure was scary. In this East Mesa neighborhood, word travels fast. Everybody seems to be saying, I don't know where it's coming from, nobody can solve it. All's calm outside usually, but when the sun goes down, the blasts begin. It was scary big. It was not your normal firework kind of boom or just a noise from a car or something. It was a lot louder and scary.
Amy Reed caught this flash of light in what sounded like an explosion on her home security camera last week. The boom shook her entire home.
I thought I would just see somebody's house had blown up. You know, I was expecting I'd see fire in the sky or...
Even after neighbors like Reed say they've been reporting this almost every night.
They said they've definitely been getting all the calls from our area for all these different nights, and several of them each night. And they said, we'll go check it out, but mostly there's not a lot we can do. But if that one happens again, that's going to be something else. You know, that's a whole different story.
Scariest explosions in Elk Grove. the blasts caught on camera that have police officers baffled. And that's where we begin at 5. Loud explosions, shaking, rattling, and rocking neighbors in Elk Grove. Good evening, thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Curtis May.
And I'm Elizabeth Kling. For weeks, police have been getting reports of these loud explosions.
This mysterious exploding sound is sending shockwaves throughout this Elk Grove neighborhood.
Just all of a sudden this loud boom.
Nate Sanchez says he felt vibrations.
I feel like the reason we woke up was more because we felt a little bit of a shaking than anything else.
For several weeks, random loud booms have been rattling different Elk Grove neighborhoods. Chris Carpenter says it's not the first time she's heard the alarming explosive sounds.
Just random, just every once in a while.
Well, this is alarming, and it's a mystery at this point. What's the best guess at what's causing these blasts?
Well, right now, because it's such a mystery and these reports are pretty sporadic, although most of them on the southeast side of town, right now it's still unknown what these random blasts.
Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. Look at this. This eruption started with an earthquake on Sunday on the volcano's south side. It's the worst eruption since 2018.
It shows lava erupting from a fissure on the left side of your screen and a lava to the right of it, a lava-nado, that is, over to the right of it, over that lava lake.
Is a rapidly evolving situation. A giant plume of steam and ash could be seen rising from the glowing orange crater. People who lived downwind being warned to stay inside to avoid the ash and to be prepared to leave. There have been no early reports of injury.
Croatia's most powerful earthquake in more than a century has resulted in the death of 7 people.
For a second straight day, central Croatia rocked by a powerful earthquake.
Just on Monday, there was another earthquake, which also had its epicenter near the town of Petra.
And an emergency begins.
In Generacian.
Hundreds of kilometers away, MPs in neighbouring Slovenia also felt the force of the quake.
Several smaller aftershocks were felt across the Balkans, as far away as Hungary.
The epicenter of the earthquake was around 50 kilometers southeast of the Croatian capital of Zagreb. The force could be felt right across the country.
Unfortunately, the way the year started, it kind of ends the same way. People in the capital, Zagreb, can sympathise. They still haven't finished reconstruction after an earthquake in March, and this latest tremor caused power cuts and further damage to buildings.
Quietly for a lot of us, San Francisco and Marin feeling this 3.6 earthquake this morning. And Darren, you have been tracking some of it. We're hearing that this was on the San Andreas Fault. What can you tell us?
Well, that map that we just showed right off the top here a minute ago, you saw that straight red line running through it? That was the San Andreas. So in one sense, we could think of this as very good news, because a 3.6 is minor. And a 3.6 means it relieved a little bit of pressure on the San Andreas Fault. And just to kind of put it in perspective, that sits just about 6.5 to 7 miles exactly due west of the Golden Gate Bridge. So it was like if you were sailing out under the Golden Gate Bridge, about 5 to 6 miles out there, it's like directly south of Muir Beach. That's where the epicenter was. The San Andreas Fault runs right underneath that part of the Pacific Ocean. Look at all the areas shaded in here, whether it's in the city, the peninsula, Marin, even some in the East Bay here reported that they did feel this light.
There was an earthquake not far off the coast from Coos Bay, so a lot happening in your weather, department and land department as well.
In the weather world, yes.
The weather world.
Earthquake offshore last night. There is no threat for a tsunami, which is good to see. It would only be fitting for 2020 if we did see a threat for that. But there is none. The earthquake was around 11 p.m. last night offshore from Coos Bay. It was a magnitude 5.7, which is a moderately strong earthquake here. And if you remember, back to 1980, the Mount St. Helens eruption was ultimately
triggered by an earthquake that then triggered a landslide and caused that volcano to erupt.
People have been injured, one critically in a landslide that buried houses in the Norwegian village of Gjerdrum, northeast of the capital Oslo. You can see the enormous crater that appeared in the early hours of Wednesday. Around 700 people have been evacuated from the area. And can you help us to understand, is this an area that is prone to this? Is it because of the particularly cold weather? What's the thinking behind why this has happened?
This is an area that has an unstable ground with a lot of this kind of mud that can be put into motion with a lot of rain. But it hasn't happened before in this scale, not at all.
Storm Bella making her presence known on British shores. Winds of up to 106 miles an hour have been recorded on the Isle of Wight overnight, bringing down trees, causing damage to cars and homes and huts alongside Brighton beachfront. Train operators have issued warnings about delays and cancellations because of debris and flooding on the railway lines. But parts of the UK are still reeling from heavy rains over Christmas, like Cirencester in Gloucestershire. Residents trying to adapt. Storm Bella did not bring dramatic destruction, but its impact has been widespread. For those affected, it's a miserable end to a festive season where spirits had already been down.
Argentina's Senate has voted to legalize abortion in a landmark ruling that could have repercussions across Latin America. The vote followed hours of debate and decades of campaigning by women's rights groups in the predominantly Catholic country.
Comments were deleted. And Tier 2 does have the same passwords to this channel as I do. And I want you to know maybe there's an accident or so, but I apologize. And I try to make sure that no comments were deleted that did not insult us because they're based. So we're going to show you. The whole But you guys were wondering about what I'm talking about in space. So we're going to show you. We're going to show you that the whole world's a facade. Everything that's going on around you, and everything that's going on around you has to do with something in space. And this is a clean attitude of what you're about to see. Very clean, because she's surrounded in a lot of debris, and what's coming is even worse. So, just before 7 this morning, I took this picture. Obviously, I'm going to flip it for you, because you need to see it this way. We have it enhanced, and the eye in the sky does fantastic work, so we're going to bring you right in there. And then we're going to explain to you what it is, because we have over 400 new viewers, so. That is Tiamat. That is her core, her cap, and that is Tiamat right there. Now, he had it filtered several different ways so you can see it, in case you're colorblind to one color or totally colorblind. I'll give it to you in black and white. There she is. We're about, what's going on here is they're further back. It appears to be. There's a lot of outgassing, but this is the core right there. That is the cap. So I know that you guys don't understand what's going on. The moderators will explain to you. They have to look at prior videos. I just recently made a video that tells you every piece there is. And for those that feel insulted in some way, you should put yourself in my shoes right now. about everything that's going on around me, because you have not seen what I'm going through. What they did to me on Facebook. You have not seen the person that's really attacking me that more than likely works for YouTube, because when I eliminated all the music, I just left the video when the guy left his channel up there thinking that I wouldn't find it, and I found the person with the same link to the porn site on his comment section, you know, where he could just get the link right away. So you don't understand. You don't understand what I'm going through right now. You don't. You think you do, but you don't. So I'm going on through a lot of shit right now. And I'm still here for you.
They took his channel down, so he had to make a new one. Like a
It's a plan.
This is happening.
It's got debris.
Around YouTube.
And it ain't going away.
And
it lingered in the same area
really strangely. That's what he's
today for the first time for 3 hours. For 3 hours it rotated back and forth. Now anyone that knows the difference between a cloud, that's not a cloud. And if you've seen my prior videos, you can see the cut, the gap, the core, and how many times she's put herself in this position. And, of course, earlier, about 10 minutes earlier, her friend was there. And you know who that is. It's either two. Either the whip or the fast mover. This is the fast mover. Sometimes they're confusing. But we know. We know because I looked at the strand and the high ridge up at the top. The high ridge and the strand right there. This piece that holds to it. This is the one I always say is the one that's going to hit us. And it's not no small piece. So everything that's going on around you, I have a lot of belief. Though Tier 2 is pissed off at me. A lot of belief that everything that's going on in space has a lot to do with what's going on down here on Earth right now. Trust me, we know. We know what's going on. And you guys may not understand it, but if you look at prior videos and you watch and you learn, she's acting differently. Like I said, she lingered way too long in one area. Excuse me. It's the first time I've ever seen her linger that long coming back to the same area. Going away, coming back, going away, coming back, going away, coming back, right to the same area, same spot. While in the 3 hours, the sun is actually going from this side, this way, from east to west. Here we're looking south. East is this way. I'm facing south, just east to west. So I was facing south. Just so it, I know what we're showing. Like I said, I apologize if anyone's feelings were hurt. So now you know. We intend to do more. We just need a break right now.
I could. I'm not going to talk about the Electoral College count. Vice President Mike Pence, as of around 3:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, announced that Joe Biden was the president-elect. Now, some people are going to say, do you still believe that Donald Trump will remain in office? Yeah, I do. Not a prophecy, my humble opinion. Could be wrong, but God, we shall see. I will tell you one thing. Some things were revealed about some people that I hadn't known before. Now, while that was going on, and later today I'll be doing my normal news update, while that was going on, for the third time in 3 weeks, Israel, the Israeli Defense Force, sent missiles, targeted missiles, at that area around southern Syria, around Damascus. Now, you know what the prophet Isaiah, those who have been following, the prophet foretold, sent missiles, targeted missiles, at that area around southern Syria, around Damascus. Now, you know what the prophet Isaiah, those who have been following, the prophet foretold, that one day they're going to go to sleep and in the morning they're going to wake up and Damascus will be utterly in ruins.
The U.S. deploys some MQ-9 and 90 jets to help Romania against Russian on Black Sea border. The U.S. Air Force has deployed about 90 airmen and an unspecified number of drone aircraft to a base in central Romania, boosting its military presence in the region, where there are allied concerns that Russia is trying to display its military strength. The Romanian Defense Ministry said Wednesday that the U.S. deployment in its Câmpion Târziu air base will be for a few months to conduct information gathering, surveillance and research missions in support of NATO operations. NATO member Romania shares the Black Sea border with Russia, and Moscow has lately been arming its neighbor Serbia with military aircraft, tanks, and other armored vehicles. The forward and ready positioning of our MQ-9S Reaper drones at this key strategic location reassures our allies and partners, while also sending a message to our adversaries that we can quickly respond to any emergent threat. Gen-Jeff Irigen, the U.S. Air Forces in Europe, and Air Forces Africa commander, said in a statement. The statement said the Reapers will boost surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities in the Black Sea region, where the U.S. has regularly accused Russia of dangerous intercepts of its military aircraft and other incidents that have caused tensions to flare between the two superpowers. The Pentagon has spent millions of dollars in recent years to upgrade the Cold War communist-era base in central Romania, where its Air Force hosts 2 squadrons of modernized version MiG-21 aircraft and 2 Puma helicopter squadrons. This deployment has been fully coordinated with the Romanian government. The United States and Romania enjoy a close military-to-military relationship as NATO allies and cooperate on numerous regional security issues, the U.S. statement said. The forward MQ-9 presence enabled by this deployment demonstrates the United States' commitment to the security and stability of Europe and aims to strengthen relationships between NATO allies and other European partners. The Air Force previously deployed a detachment of Reapers from Poland to the 71st Air Base in January 2020, and at the time described it as a temporary relocation. It was expected to last through early spring 2020.